ghouls and ghouls, welcome back to the Movie Pit. I'm your host, Dr. Gulula, and today we're diving into this shit show classic, I Know What You Did Last Summer from 1997. With a new sequel on the horizon, let's revisit this motherfucking teen slasher that tried to capitalize on Scream's success. It's been 25 years since we first watched a hook-wielding fisherman terrorize a bunch of pretty teenagers with questionable decision-making skills. This film marked the peak of 90s horror renaissance, when studios realized they could make a fuck-ton of money by putting TV stars in peril and marketing to horny teenagers. This piece of shit came out in the wake of Scream and was even pinned by the same writer, Kevin Williamson. It rode that slasher revival wave like a fucking parasitic remora fish. Columbia Pictures, those greedy bastards, rushed this script into production after seeing the truckloads of cash that Scream pulled in. What makes this whole thing so fucking fascinating is that it's technically based on a young adult novel from the 70s that had absolutely zero hook-wielding killers. Williamson took that premise and mutated it into a straight-up slasher film, complete with a rain-slicker-wearing psychopath. The 90s were this weird fucking time when horror was desperately trying to reinvent itself after the genre had basically eaten itself alive in the 80s. I Know What You Did Last Summer doesn't have the self-awareness or satirical edge that made Scream so goddamn revolutionary. Instead, it plays the slasher formula completely straight, taking us back to those mindless butcher fests from the 80s, but with prettier packaging and better production values. Unlike Ghostface with his movie trivia and meta bullshit, our fisherman killer doesn't play games or crack jokes. He's just a vengeful motherfucker with a hook who wants to make these pretty teenagers pay for their sins. It's like comparing a scholar to a sledgehammer. Both get the job done, but with vastly different approaches. Let's break down the shit show's premise. The movie kicks off with four fucking teenagers, Julie, Helen, Barry, and Ray, celebrating on the 4th of July back in 1996. After getting hammered at the beach, these dumbasses are driving home when they plow right into some poor bastard walking on the road. Instead of calling the police like any decent human beings would, these motherfuckers panic and decide to dump the supposedly dead body into the ocean. Barry and Helen drag the poor fucker to the water, but in a moment straight out of every nightmare, the corpse suddenly grabs Helen. Barry, that psycho, shoves the guy back into the water, and they all make a blood pact to never speak of this fucked up night again. Fast forward 1 year, and Julie returns home from college looking like absolute shit. Turns out all of them have been mentally fucked since their hit-and-run adventure. None of these assholes pursued their dreams. Guilt really does a number on you, who fucking knew? Then the real fun begins when Julie receives a mysterious note with 7 words that make her shit herself. I know what you did last summer. No signature, no return address, just pure fucking terror on a piece of paper. And this is where the dominoes start falling. These 4 friends who drifted apart after their little murder cover-up are forced back together by this ominous threat. They're panicking, pointing fingers, and wondering who the fuck knows their dirty little secret. Little do these dipshits know, they're about to be hunted down one by someone who clearly didn't appreciate being left for dead in the ocean. The party's over, and now it's time to pay the fucking bill. Once the body's dumped and the pact is made, the real fucked up shit starts one by one. The first poor bastard to meet the business end of that fisherman's hook is Max, the wannabe boyfriend who had the misfortune of driving by them that night. He gets slaughtered like a pig, setting off this bloody chain reaction. Barry's entitled ass is next on the hit list. While cruising in his fancy car, the hook-wielding psycho decides to play a game of chicken with him. This maniac steals Barry's varsity jacket before nearly turning him into roadkill. The guy barely escapes with his life, but he's completely losing his shit at this point. Meanwhile, Helen finds out the hard way not to fall into deep sleep when a killer's on the loose. She wakes up to find chunks of her beauty queen hair scattered all over her bedroom floor. The fisherman slashed her locks while she was fucking sleeping. Not as traumatic as death, sure, but a pretty goddamn intimate violation that leaves her utterly terrified. The whole time this madness is unfolding, Julie's channeling her inner detective, digging through newspaper archives and connecting dots. She discovers that their victim might have been some local named David Egan, and she's determined to figure out why this hook-swinging maniac is after them. Their friendship? Completely fucking imploded. Barry's turned into an even bigger asshole, if that's possible. Helen's a nervous wreck. Ray's suspected by everyone since he's conveniently distant. And Julie's desperately trying to piece together who exactly they hit that night before they all end up with hooks through their chests. When Julie finds Max's corpse stuffed in her car trunk, covered in fucking crabs and wearing Barry's stolen jacket, she completely loses it. But in true slasher fashion, when she brings her friends back to see it, the body has mysteriously vanished. Classic psycho killer move. The fucking truth behind this whole nightmare finally clicks into place when Julie figures out they didn't actually run over some random drunk guy. They hit Ben Willis, a vengeful father who had just murdered David Egan. See, Egan was dating Willis's daughter Susie, who died in a car accident. Daddy Dearest blamed David and executed his own brand of justice before a team dipshits plowed into him and dumped his ass in the water. This isn't just some opportunistic psycho. This is a man with a goddamn mission. The pieces fall together when Julie visits David's sister Missy and discovers that the handwriting on David's suicide note matches the threatening letter she received. It wasn't a suicide note at all. It was Ben's death threat to David before killing him. Meanwhile, Helen's beauty pageant night turns into a fucking bloodbath. The killer butchers a cop right in front of her, then chases her through her family's store where her bitch of a sister Elsa gets her throat slashed. Helen almost escapes, almost before the fisherman catches her in an alley and brutally murders her. Barry gets it too, struck down while Helen watches helplessly. Julie, still piecing the shit together, realizes that the mysterious Billy Blue who visited Missy was Ben Willis himself. When she goes to tell Ray, she notices his boat is called Billy Blue and thinks he's the killer. In full panic mode, she accepts help from a friendly fisherman who offers her safety on his boat. Big fucking mistake. Once on board, Julie discovers newspaper clippings about her friends and photos of Susie Willis. Then comes the ultimate horror show. She finds Helen and Barry's corpses stuffed in the boat's icebox like yesterday's catch. The kindly fisherman reveals himself as Ben Willis, back from the dead and ready to complete his revenge tour. In the nick of time, Ray shows up to save Julie's ass. There's this brutal fucking fight that ends with Ray using the boat's rigging to sever Ben's hand and send the hook-handed bastard overboard. Ray explains that he was the one who visited Missy as Billy Blue, but only out of guilt, not malice. Just when you think it's all wrapped up with a nice little bow, the movie pulls the classic horror bullshit 1 year later. Julie's in college, about to take a shower when she sees "I still know" written in the steam. Before she can even process this fuckery, a dark figure crashes through the glass door as she screams her lungs out. Sequel set up complete, motherfuckers. Holy shit, this movie assembled the Mount Rushmore of 90s teen heartthrobs. Jennifer Love Hewitt leads the pack with her innocent eyes and considerable assets that the camera never hesitates to exploit. She was already a household name from Party of Five, and this film cemented her scream queen status. Then there's Sarah fucking Gellar, fresh off staking vampires as Buffy, playing the beauty queen whose life goes to absolute hell. She brings both vulnerability and strength to Helen, making her eventual demise genuinely tragic, rather than just another body count. Ryan Phillippe perfects the art of playing an absolute dickhead as Barry. You immediately want to punch this motherfucker in his pretty face, but he somehow makes you care when he's running for his life. It's a testament to his acting that you can totally believe this asshole would dump a body and make everyone swear a blood oath about it. Freddie Prinze Jr. rounds out our core four as Ray, the sensitive fisherman boyfriend who might be the killer, or might just be a red herring in a movie full of them. He's got that everyman quality that makes him both suspicious and sympathetic throughout. Even Johnny Galecki shows up as Max, the jealous never boyfriend, years before he'd be making bank on the Big Bang Theory. He perfectly captures that bitter, resentful vibe of a guy who knows he'll never get the girl. And let's not forget Muse Watson as Ben Willis. This motherfucker doesn't need fancy masks or one-liners, just a fisherman's slicker and a hook to create genuine menace. He's a fucking force of nature in this film. This cast is a goddamn 90s time capsule, a collection of actors who dominated Teen Beat and Tiger Beat magazines. Every single one of them could have been on your cousin's bedroom wall, and now they're all running from a homicidal fisherman. That's the magic of 90s horror in a nutshell. For a bunch of TV actors making the jump to the big screen, they actually don't suck completely. In fact, the performances in this flick are surprisingly fucking solid across the board. Let's break this shit down. Jennifer Love Hewitt absolutely nails Julie James. The girl can scream her ass off, that's for damn sure, but she brings more than just lung power. She perfectly captures that mixture of guilt, vulnerability, and determination that drives the character. Watch how she transitions from shell-shock college dropout to amateur detective piecing together last summer's clusterfuck. Love Hewitt makes you believe this good girl made one terrible fucking decision and is now paying for it with her sanity. Sarah Michelle Gellar brings that Buffy energy to Helen, except this time there's no superpowers to save her. She starts as the stereotypical beauty queen with big dreams, then descends into paranoid fear as her life turns to complete shit. Her extended death sequence shows some serious acting chops. That look of absolute terror when she realizes she's fucked is goddamn haunting. Ryan Phillippe deserves a special fucking medal for making Barry such a complete asshole that you're almost rooting for the killer. This motherfucker exudes privileged dickhead energy from every pore, yet somehow makes you feel for him when his life falls apart. That's not easy to pull off, but Phillippe threads that needle perfectly. Freddie Prinze Jr. gets the thankless job of playing the is he or isn't he the killer boyfriend. But he brings enough sincerity to Ray that his eventual heroism feels earned rather than forced. But the real MVP of this shitstorm is Muse Watson as Ben Willis. This creepy bastard sells the silent killer role without barely uttering a word. Just his hulking presence in that slicker is enough to make your skin crawl. The way he moves with methodical purpose rather than cheap jump scares creates a villain with genuine menace. He doesn't need clever quibs or elaborate backstory. Just a hook and a grudge are enough to make him terrifying. There's this dark fucking irony in how one bad decision destroys all their futures. The film does a surprisingly good job of showing how this single act of cowardice completely derails these kids' lives in ways that feel tragically realistic. Miss Perfect Julie James, who was probably headed to an Ivy League success story, can't even handle basic college courses anymore. She's a hollow shell, jumping at shadows and paralyzed by guilt. Her relationship with Ray is completely fucked, and she's isolated herself from everyone who cares about her. Love Hewitt sells this emotional breakdown beautifully. Then there's Helen, the beauty queen whose crown might as well be made of shit now. All those dreams of becoming a big-time actress? Gone. Instead, she's working at her family's store, trapped in this small-town hellhole with her bitch of a sister constantly reminding her of her failure. The scene where she looks at old pageant photos speaks volumes about shattered dreams. Barry's case is particularly fucking brutal. This arrogant jock had a full athletic scholarship in the bag, and now he's a raging alcoholic picking fights in bars. His relationship with Helen has devolved into this toxic mess where he's more concerned about his own ass than protecting her. And poor Ray stuck on a goddamn fishing boat, the very symbol of the thing that ruined their lives. The fucking irony is so thick you could cut it with a hook. The guy who wanted to escape the town and its fishing industry is now bound to it by guilt. What makes this shit work dramatically is how their fragmented relationships mirror their fractured lives. These four can barely look at each other without seeing their crime reflected back. Every conversation is loaded with unspoken accusations and shared trauma. It's a masterclass in how to set up characters worth giving a shit about before slaughtering them. The movie essentially says, make one shitty moral choice when you're young and drunk, and karma will hunt your ass down with a fucking hook and dismember not just your body, but your entire goddamn future. Jim Gillespie's direction in this flick deserves some serious fucking credit. The motherfucker doesn't try to reinvent the slasher genre, but he knows exactly how to squeeze every drop of tension from a scene. There's a workmanlike quality to his approach that somehow makes the whole thing more effective. The chase sequences are where this shit really shines. Helen's extended run from the killer through the department store and alleyways is a goddamn masterclass in sustained tension. The way Gillespie stages it, with those narrow escapes and false moments of safety before yanking the rug out again, is absolutely nerve-wracking. Gillespie clearly studied his 80s slasher playbook and implements all the best tricks. He keeps the Fisherman killer in the shadows, using that slicker and hook as visual shorthand that's both simple and effective. The false scares are perfectly timed. That moment when Julie thinks she sees the killer in her car, only for it to be something else, before hitting us with the real fucking scare? That's the kind of shit that gets under your skin. What's refreshing about Gillespie's approach is how straightforward it is compared to Scream. There is no winking at the camera, no self-aware dialogue about horror movie rules. This is old-school slasher filmmaking that takes itself deadly serious, which is exactly what the story needs. The kill scenes are staged with brutal efficiency. Barry's murder at the pageant, Helen's frantic run through town, the discovery of the bodies in the boat's freezer. Each hits with maximum impact because Gillespie knows when to show and when to suggest, when to linger on the gore and when to cut away. Visually, this motherfucker nails that coastal town atmosphere with a sinister edge that crawls under your skin. Dennis Crossan's cinematography deserves serious fucking credit for creating this perfect balance between picturesque seaside charm and lurking dread. The contrast is brilliant. Sunshine and postcard views by day, fog-shrouded docks, and shadowy corners by night. The way they capture Southport creates this constant sense of claustrophobia that shouldn't exist in a goddamn open coastal town. Those narrow alleyways, the cramped storefronts, and the maze-like docks all feel like they're closing in on our characters. There's nowhere to run in a town where everyone knows everyone's shit. Let's talk about that killer silhouette because it's absolutely fucking menacing. The Fisherman's slicker, that hook catching the moonlight, it's visual shorthand for death coming. The simplicity is what makes it work. No elaborate monster makeup, just a recognizable silhouette that sends chills down your spine whenever it appears in frame. What really elevates the visuals is how they use the environment to create tension. The way they shoot those docks with the gentle rocking of boats that could be hiding anyone. The beauty pageant where bright stage lights contrast with dark backstage areas. That department store with its mannequins and endless places to hide. The camera work during chase sequences amplifies the panic. Those handheld shots when Helen is running for her fucking life. The tight framing making you feel trapped right alongside her. Then there's the boat scenes with their claustrophobic below-deck shots that make you feel like you're in a floating coffin. Even the quieter moments have visual punch. Julie sitting alone in her room with the shadows creating bars across her like she's in a prison of guilt. Those beach scenes where the vast ocean represents the secret they tried to wash away. It's these visual metaphors that give this slasher some actual artistic merit. What makes the cinematography work so damn well is how it transforms familiar 90s settings into places of dread. The small town streets, that fishing village, even the fucking beauty pageant. Crossan finds the darkness lurking beneath these quintessentially American settings, showing how quickly safety can turn to danger. Holy shit, the soundtrack to this movie is like a time capsule of 90s alt-rock that hits you right in the face with its dated earnestness. Every fucking chase scene and dramatic moment is backed by these angsty guitar tracks that probably seemed edgy as hell back then, but now feel about as threatening as a toddler with a plastic knife. John Debney's actual score though? That motherfucker knew what he was doing. When the film needs tension, he delivers with those slow-building string sections that make your heart rate climb without you even noticing. When the jumps happen, the music punches you right in the gut. It's not reinventing horror scoring, but it does its bloody job effectively. The real unsung hero here is the sound design. That metallic scrape of the Fisherman's hook against various surfaces, that shit will make your skin crawl even when you can't see the killer on screen. The way they use ambient sounds of the fishing village, waves crashing, boat engines, distant foghorns, creates this constant undercurrent of unease that never lets you get comfortable. Every footstep on wooden docks, every creaking floorboard in Helen's store, even the goddamn sound of rain on slicker material becomes menacing. They understood that what you hear can fuck with your head more effectively than what you see. The sound mixing during the kill scenes deserves special mention too. The way they balance the victim's screams, the environmental sounds, and the music without turning it into a cacophonous mess shows real fucking craftsmanship. It's exactly what you'd expect from a post-Scream slasher film. Competent and effective without pushing any boundaries. Not groundbreaking enough to win awards, but not shitty enough to take you out of the movie either. It serves the story and amplifies the scares, which is all you can really ask for in a film like this. Let's talk about the fucking pacing of this movie, which is about as well balanced as a drunk college student on a fishing boat. The film takes its sweet-ass time getting to the bloody good stuff, almost a full hour before anyone gets properly off. That's a long-ass wait in a slasher film, where we're all just counting down until the hook starts swinging. That said, I've got to give credit where it's due. The film uses that time to actually develop these characters beyond typical slasher fodder. We get to understand Julie's guilt, Helen's crushed dreams, Barry's rage issues, and Ray's working-class struggles. So when the killing starts, we actually give somewhat of a shit about who lives and who dies. The third act is where this fucker finally finds its footing. Once the bodies start dropping, the film maintains a relentless momentum with barely time to breathe between kills and revelations. Helen's extended death sequence is a masterclass in building and sustaining tension, while the boat finale delivers claustrophobic terror at its finest. If we're being honest though, the movie follows the slasher formula to a goddamn T. You've got your initial incident, your 1 year later reunion, your cryptic warnings, your red herrings, your false scares, and your final gross showdown. It's so by the numbers you could teach a horror screenwriting class with it. This adherence to formula is both its greatest strength and limitation. The film never surprises you with its structure, but it executes the familiar beats with enough style and conviction that you don't mind the predictability. It's like comfort food with a side of brutal hook murders. You know exactly what you're getting, but sometimes that's exactly what you want. Despite all its slasher tropes and Kevin Williamson paint-by-numbers screenplay, I Know What You Did Last Summer delivers some genuinely fucking memorable set pieces that horror fans still talk about to this day. Helen's pageant sequence and subsequent death scene stands as the crowning achievement of the entire film. What starts as a beauty pageant backdrop morphs into this relentless cat-and-mouse nightmare where she repeatedly comes within inches of salvation, only to have it snatched away. The way she escapes the killer, finds a cop for safety, watches him get murdered, runs to her family's store, sees her bitch sister, gets slaughtered, then finally makes it to the street inside of the parade before getting her throat slashed, is a goddamn masterclass in sustained tension and release. Then there's that trunk scene. Julie popping open her car trunk to find Max's corpse absolutely covered in slimy crawling crabs remains one of the most disgusting and effective jump scares of the 90s. The visual is so fucking unexpected and grotesque it burns itself into your memory. The fact that the body mysteriously disappears when she brings her friends to see it adds that perfect element of is she losing her shit paranoia. The icebox reveal on the boat deserves serious props too. Julie stumbling upon the frozen, mutilated bodies of her friends after thinking she's found safety is genuinely shocking. The clinical meat locker presentation of Helen and Barry's corpses plays like a sick trophy case for the killer. Even smaller moments pack a punch, like when the killer sneaks into Helen's bedroom and cuts off her hair instead of killing her. It's this psychological mindfuck that shows the Fisherman isn't just out for quick revenge. He wants to toy with his victims first. These standout sequences elevate what could have been just another Scream knockoff into something that carves out its own bloody identity. While the film might follow the slasher template, these moments of inspired terror and suspense showed there was actual fucking craftsmanship behind the carnage. Holy fucking shit, you want to talk about commercial impact? This slasher flick was a goddamn goldmine at the box office. I Know What You Did Last Summer raked in a staggering $126 million worldwide on a measly $17 million budget. That's not just profitable, that's a fucking license to print money. The film dominated the box office for 3 consecutive weekends, which is practically unheard of for a horror movie. This wasn't just some flash in the pan, it was a cultural phenomenon that cemented the revival of the slasher genre in the 90s after Scream kicked down the door. The movie's success spawned 2 sequels, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and that straight-to-video garbage I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. But its influence didn't stop there. The film was mercilessly parodied in Scary Movie, which mocked everything from Julie's letter freakout to Helen's beauty pageant death scene. The phrase, I know what you did last summer, transcended the film to become part of everyday language. Anytime someone wants to threaten exposing someone else's past misdeeds, those 6 words do the heavy lifting. It's embedded in the cultural lexicon alongside Here's Johnny and I See Dead People. Even the Fisherman himself, with that slicker and hook, earned his place in the pantheon of iconic slasher villains. Maybe not quite on Freddie or Jason's level, but certainly in that second tier with Ghostface and Chucky. Not bad for a vengeful dad with a simple fishing implement. The film also launched its young cast into the stratosphere. Love Hewitt, Gellar, Phillippe, and Prinze Jr. became the face of late 90s teen entertainment. This wasn't just a horror hit, it was a fucking cornerstone of 90s pop culture. Looking back, this film sits in the weird fucking middle ground between Scream's brilliance and the wave of shitty copycats that followed. It neither revolutionized the genre nor embarrassed itself, just delivered exactly what horny teenagers with disposable income wanted in 1997. What makes I Know What You Did Last Summer fascinating is how it lacks the meta-commentary that made Scream revolutionary. Yet it's crafted with enough skill and sincerity to stand on its own bloody merits. It plays the slasher tropes completely straight, and sometimes that straightforward approach is refreshing as fuck. The film undeniably helped launch the careers of its young cast into the stratosphere. Love Hewitt, Gellar, Phillippe, and Prinze Jr. became the faces of late 90s teen entertainment, plastered across every fucking magazine cover and MTV special for years. 2 of them even got married, for Christ's sake. Hollywood executives were taking notes and realizing there was serious goddamn money to be made in teen-oriented horror. It's also a perfect motherfucking time capsule of 90s aesthetics. Those fucking hairstyles with the center parts and flip dents, the spaghetti straps, Ryan Phillips' puka shell necklace, and the soundtrack loaded with alt-rock bullshit. All of it screams 90s louder than a Jennifer Love Hewitt death scene. The fashion choices in this movie are scarier than the fucking killer. I mean, seriously, Helen's pageant outfits are the true horror show here. If you want to understand the teen horror landscape between Scream's game-changing release and the eventual parody that was Scary Movie, this film is essential viewing. It's that crucial bridge between innovation and saturation, when the formula was profitable but hadn't yet become a fucking joke. So where does this leave us? Is I Know What You Did Last Summer a fucking masterpiece? Hell no. Is it an entertaining slasher with some effective kills and decent performances? Absolutely fucking right it is. The movie delivers exactly what it promises. Attractive teens getting sliced and diced, a vengeful killer with a legitimate grudge, and some genuinely suspenseful moments that still hold up today. That fishhook through the throat is still fucking brutal 2 decades later. What we have here is a solid, by-the-numbers slasher that understands the assignment and executes it with style. It doesn't try to be cleverer than it is or pretend to have some profound message. It just wants to make you shit your pants when the killer appears in the back seat. Sure, it takes a goddamn hour before anyone gets properly murdered. And yes, some of the red herrings are about as subtle as a hook to the face. But when the film finally gets rolling, it delivers the goods with bloody enthusiasm. While it won't ever be mistaken for high art or even reach the heights of its predecessor Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer earns a solid 7.5 out of 10 stars for executing the slasher formula with style and commitment. It's like that reliable fuck buddy who isn't marriage material but always shows up when you need them and gets the job done right. For a film banking on the success of Scream, it managed to carve out its own identity and become a staple of 90s horror. Not bad for a movie about 4 dipshits who can't properly dispose of a body. Well, boils and ghouls, that wraps up our bloody dissection of I Know What You Did Last Summer. While it may not be the most original slice of 90s horror, it's a fucking entertaining ride with enough hooks to keep you watching. This film finds itself in that weird fucking limbo between artistic achievement and mindless popcorn entertainment. It never tries to be anything more than what it is. A slick slasher that delivers exactly what the audience paid for. Blood, mayhem, and beautiful people making terrible decisions. For all its flaws, and holy shit there are many, it managed to capture that late 90s aesthetic perfectly. The fashion, the music, the dialogue, it's all there like a time capsule of teen angst and terrible hair. That alone makes it worth revisiting. The movie's greatest achievement might be how it launched the careers of its young cast while paying homage to the classic slashers of the 80s. It bridges that generational gap between the golden age of horror and the self-aware shit that would follow. At 7.5 stars, it earns its place in the slasher pantheon. Not at the top with the legends, but certainly not at the bottom with the direct-to-video garbage. It's a competently made thriller that knows exactly what the fuck it is. This is Dr. Gulula reminding you to always check your backseat and never dump a body in the water. Sweet nightmares, and as always, till next time, kiddies.